So hey guys, I've got a few minutes before it's time for my first class of the day. I just brushed my teeth, and I've been using these face wipes instead of washing my face because I don't like using rags on my face. That's my beauty secret. I don't use any types of rags on my face. If I wash my face, like when I actually wash my face with soap and water, it's in the shower and I have a specific bar of soap that I only use on my face. And I don't use a rag, I use my hands, or I have a specific sponge that I use. It's like a exfoliating sponge. And that's all I use on my face, and then I let it air dry. So in the mornings, I don't take a shower. I only take one at night. Because for what? I'm in the house all day. And I like to take one right before I go to bed to wash away everything. So yeah, that's my routine. So I'm wiping. I love these. These are perfect. It makes me feel like I just wipe my face. I just wash my face. It makes me feel better than washing my face. My face is not all drippy and wet, and I feel refreshed. And you guys see, it's pretty much clear. So I got a clean face. Even have to wake it up. Okay, so anyway, I don't know how we got into all of that. I don't like intros, so I just jump into stuff. I'm random like that. But today I woke up with the message, wait and see. Through suffering, we get to the other side and we experience what happens after you suffer. You can't suffer forever. I know it feels like the suffering is forever, and the only way that the suffering it lasts for a long time, or it feels like it's forever, is if you attach yourself to the suffering. Understand that suffering is necessary for good things to come about, for something else to come about. You have to suffer in order to get the lesson. You have to suffer in order to heal. Think about it this way. I suffer from vertigo. Sometimes it just hits me out of freaking nowhere. I'm starting, now that I'm an adult, to start to see the trigger signs. But when vertigo hits me, I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but it feels like a hangover times 30. Like, it feels like the worst hangover you've ever had in your entire life. And I'm not somebody who drinks often. Like, out of a year, I may have 5 or 6 drinks. Because I don't go out a lot, and that's really the only, I'm a social drinker. That's the only time I'll drink. I'll have like 1 or 2 drinks. I don't just sit at home and drink. Sometimes I will, if I'm really stressed out. Sometimes I might have a drink. But that's every blue moon. Like I said, it averages out to about 5 or 6 drinks a year. And so I know that it doesn't come from me drinking. I think it comes from, I think it's like a sugar level thing, but anyway, I don't want to get into all of that. I suffer from the vertigo every now and then. When I was younger, it happened more often. Now that I've been an adult, it happens a lot less often. But maybe a month ago, I was hit with vertigo. Oh my God. Oh my God. I was laying there dizzy. I couldn't even get up. Like, the worst nausea. Oh my God, it was terrible. It was horrible. And so something told me to Google it and see, because when I was younger, obviously, Google wasn't a thing. It was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. We were still doing Ask Jeeves or something like that. Like, that's how dated this whole thing is. But anyway, so someone told me to Google it and Google what causes vertigo and how to get over it. And so basically there's like a maneuver you do, there's a body movement that you do, because vertigo is caused by an inner ear imbalance. And so, like, long story short, there's like fluids in your ear and sometimes they get imbalanced. And so if you move your head certain types of ways, it can rebalance the fluids. And you sleeping or keeping your body in certain positions is what causes the vertigo in the first place. Attached with the whole, I think diet and a lot of other things go with it too. And then, of course, I was in my previous relationship, so that was definitely a contributing factor. I honestly think these things I believe disease is spiritual. So anytime something happens and I'm sick, I automatically go to the spiritual meaning for why I'm sick. It's not, oh, well, this runs in my family, or I'm sick because people just get sick, or, COVID, the second, third, or fourth, or fifth, sixth bout of COVID is out. No. If I'm suffering, I have ringing in my inner ear. There's a spiritual reason for that. When I was younger, I used to get really bad nosebleeds. There's a spiritual reason for that. But I don't want to get into, guys, let's draw it all back. So I Googled this shit, whatever. And they told me to do the maneuver. So I'm doing the maneuver, but it says specifically in there's a reason why I'm telling this story. Because we were talking about suffering and how if you just go through the suffering, on the other side is peace and release. And so in the article, it said specifically, when you do this maneuver, it's going to your symptoms, because the only way to not feel nauseous while I'm laying down was to keep my body in a certain position. So I propped up my pillows and I slept the whole day. Then the article said you need to turn to the side. Anytime I turned, oh my God, I'm telling you guys, the room was spinning times 30, nauseous times 30. And it said, hold the position. I think it was for a minute. A minute is not a long time, guys. But when you're suffering, that shit feels like a year. Okay, so it said in there, hold the position for, I think it was a minute. I'm sure it's not more than 2 minutes. Don't quote me on the exact time. But, so I set my timer, and I turned myself in the first position. And I just kept breathing through it and just looking at the timer and saying, okay, only 60 more seconds, only 59, only 45, only 30. And then I'm telling you guys, as soon as the timer went off, I felt 10 times better. The nausea went away, the feeling that I was feeling in that position went away, and I started feeling normal. My body needed that little bit of time to go back to balance, to get back into balance. But all I had to do was suffer through the minute of feeling terrible. And because every time I turned in this position, that was where I needed to be to heal, but it felt bad, so I would turn back in this position and be sick all day. So, I did the first maneuver, and then it said lay in that position, even after it subsides, lay in it for a little bit longer. So I did, and then I turned back to center, and the whole shit started all over again. So I started my timer back over, and then as soon as the timer went off, I'm telling you, it just progressively started getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then as soon as the time hit, it just went. And it was what vertigo? I'm telling you guys, it was amazing to witness this. And then so, second position, then I turned over on the other side and did the third position, same thing. And then I started feeling a little bit better, but I was still in the bed for the rest of the day. But the whole point of the story is that after suffering, there is a resolution, there is peace, there is we suffer for a necessary reason. There was another example that I wanted to share with you guys, and now I can't think of it, where if you just wait and see, you'll get everything that you need. Right now, it sees, okay, so that's a physical example. That's a physical example, because I can't think of the other one. It was a really good one. If I think of it, I'll share it with you guys. Oh shoot, I gotta log into my class. All right, give me one moment, because this guy might not show up, or he might show up. I think he should show up, because he's on a schedule for today. That is not, oh gosh, where am I going? Hang on, guys. It's spring break time all over the country. A lot of my students, they live in Arizona and California over on that side. I have some that live in our time zone, in the Eastern time zone, but yeah, so everybody's on different schedules for spring break, and then Easter is this weekend, I think. I do not keep up with the only reason I know anything about any of this stuff is because it's impacting my work, honestly. And I like work with these kids, so we gotta talk about Easter and all that type of stuff, because they're all excited about their plans. So he may or may not log in, but I'm keeping an eye on it. So yeah, I used a physical example of when we suffer through the pain, how something good can come out of that. Now let's talk about how if we suffer through circumstances in our life and why it seems like some people, are addicted to suffering. Somebody has said that before. People are addicted to suffering. It's true, we are. But there are also people who avoid suffering at all costs, i.e. the narcissists. They are so afraid of suffering that they avoid it at the expense of others. And so the ones who are still brave enough to face suffering and they understand suffering is a part of life no matter what. Bob Marley said, everyone is going to make you suffer. This is a paraphrase. The quote is however it goes, but the gist is, everyone's going to make you suffer. You just have to figure out who is worth suffering for. What is worth suffering for? Everyone's going to make you suffer. And that is a key, critical thing that we need to learn about life. Life in this matrix, in this illusion, in this whatever it is you want to call this place that we're in. The number one rule is you will suffer, period. The sooner you accept that fact and the sooner you get to grips with that fact, the better off you will be. I need to drink some water. Why? Because my lips are I saw my lips getting a little wrinkly, dry looking. And I exfoliate them all the time, which is why they're getting their pink color back. But the cracky look is dehydration. Anyway, I don't know why. Anyway, we're flowing with it, guys. All the stuff is coming out today, this morning. All right, So yes, he said that that's the number one rule of life, period. You have to suffer. And I think that me and a lot of other people, i.e. healers, i.e. people who understand how life works, we have become kind of addicted in a way to suffering. And that's not healthy either. The extreme on the other side is the narcissist who doesn't want to experience it at any cost. And then on the other extreme is the empath, and we want to experience it all the time to the point that we put ourselves in situations. Another one of my co-subscribers, we subscribe to each other. She's a cool girl. I love her channel or whatever. She says the dusties. This is why we attract the dusties into our life. I personally don't want to call them dusties because I believe everybody has a purpose, and I don't like to call people out of their name. So the people who you would rather not be in contact with, the people you would rather not have an experience with, the people who don't align with you, i.e. dusties, this is why we attract them. We attract them purposely. We purposely go after these people. We see these people and we're like, yes, you're going to make me suffer. I want you in my life. I don't want the things that are going to make me feel good. I want to suffer because I know that something good is going to come out of suffering. And then we develop that type of mentality. And then we find our way back to the middle because everything needs a balance. So you have to find the balance basically between narcissism and empathism, whatever. You have to find the balance between the two of those. How do we do that? We experience things. Another good friend of mine, all my life I've had some really great teachers, and they've all been male because I've been putting a lot of effort in the last 32, almost 33 years into developing my masculine side. Because why? We live in a masculine society. In order to function and survive in this society, you have to develop your masculine side. Otherwise, it's not going to work. This is why we have so many masculine women. This is why we have a lot of women who are go-getters and who are, they exhibit a lot of these masculine traits because we live in a masculine society, and we learned early on as women, you can't be a woman, can't be feminine. It's shunned. We get shamed for it. All XYZ, all this stuff, right? So we learn to develop our masculine side. So I've had a lot of masculine teachers in my life. The most recently, two of them we had to part ways, but I know they're my teachers because every time we don't talk often, but every time something major, a tower for all my tarot people, a tower happens, which is a major event that just shocks your whole world, and you're like, what in the fuck is this? And it takes you have to like go into deep reflection and introspection after this event happens. It's like a real major event that happens. Could be a breakup, it could be you get fired from work, it could be whatever, right? So every time something like that happens in my life, I get the feeling to reach out to my guides, these teachers that I've had in my life for years. And the universe, God, whoever we want to attribute the power to ourselves, we are sent teachers based on the particular place in our journey that we're in. That particular teacher is meant to help us with a certain thing that we need help with. Once we have mastered that particular thing that they were sent to help us with, they go. And that's another thing that we need to understand. Don't hold on to people. To have somebody in your life for 20, 10, 5, 15 years, it's just weird to me. I have to say it. It's very weird to me. Anyway, so... And another feeling that's coming up when I say that is, well, why is it weird? And then we'll get into a whole rabbit hole if I entertain that. So I'm not going to, but I do need to say it's weird to me. Why? Because to me, it feels like you're not growing, you're not evolving. But it could also be that person is growing and evolving with you, and it just so happens you guys just have that vibe. You're soulmates. That's what a soulmate is. Somebody who you can stay with for that long period of time, but it doesn't feel like you're not changing, you're not growing. You guys are changing and growing together at the same rate in the same types of ways because you have the same lessons that you need to learn. That is in essence what a soulmate is. And we can have these in any types of forms, friends, family members, whatever. And so, twin, right? That popular viral song that's going around, that's what that means. So, got off track again. Where the hell were we? Give me a second, guys, because everything just fell out of my head. So, I'm going to take a breath. And I'm going to wait for the first thing that comes back to mind, and that's going to be what needs to be said. Okay, so my teachers, right before we parted ways this time, and for good this time, he told me that I was sharing with him, like, why do I keep... Because every time I reach out to him in particular, it's about the same pattern, the same cycle that I keep going around and around and around in. And I was like, why do I keep having to go through this? And he shared something with me. He was like, don't look at it as like a failure. Don't look at it as like you're not getting the lesson. Look at it as like you're perfecting it. Every time you go back, you're perfecting it. And that was the example. Thank you. That was the example, the other example that I had at the beginning of the video that I couldn't remember. And then he shared with me, he was like, think about it from this perspective. When you're writing a lesson for your students, right? Because he knows that I'm a teacher. So whenever you're writing a lesson for your students and you write it the first time, or you're writing an essay, or you're doing something for work, you do it the first time, but instinct will tell you to go back and make sure that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, basically. Make sure that it's perfect. Make sure that it is the best draft. When we were in school and we were being taught to write, we wrote different drafts. We wrote our first draft, and then we wrote, I think, the final draft. I don't even remember the writing process. Guys, but we wrote several different drafts of our essay. The first one, and then we went in, talked to the teacher, they gave us pinpoints, then we talked to a friend, they gave us pinpoints, we went back, rewrote it, got some more feedback, and then rewrote it for the final time. I think that that's how the process goes. So even with that, these things that we think are menial, these things that we think don't mean anything, and our teachers are just giving us random work for no reason because it doesn't mean anything when we get older, it all means something. Even something as unrelated as we think, as the writing process and how annoying it was. I hated the writing process. Oh my God, I was like, listen, I didn't mind going back and rewriting my essays. I think my problem was pre-planning. I hate to pre-plan that, when you draw the web and you think about your three main ideas, and then I hated that process. I was like, I just want to get in, I just want to start writing. And that has played out in my life. I'm very much somebody who does not have patience when it comes to certain things. I like to jump into everything. I like to jump in head first and then figure it out later. And that's how I was when I was approaching my writing when I was younger. It's so funny how all those things, they coincide. So anyway, that's what he shared with me. He was like, have a little bit of grace with yourself, because that's what life is about. It's about suffering, but it's also understanding why we suffer and what the suffering really is. Is it even really suffering? Because at the end of the day, it's all about how you think about it. Because some bad stuff could be happening. I was gonna say shit, but some bad stuff could be happening, right? Bad stuff. And who's to say that it's bad? Your mind tells you that it's bad. Society, however you've been raised, tells you what is bad and what is not bad. There's somebody right now from another country living, like somebody who lives in an African tribe out in the middle of nowhere. They're gonna have a very different experience. The Indians, and I know we shouldn't call them that, the Native Americans, people who live in different types of settings. They don't live in modern societies like we do. They're gonna have a very, very, very different idea and experience of what is suffering. There are probably even tribes, I'm sure there are, because I love studying tribes, and I'm sure at some point during my studies in the Britannica when I was a kid, that was my pastime. I had siblings, because I remember I heard some people say, like, I didn't have siblings, so what I did was I read the encyclopedia all the time. I had siblings and I still read the encyclopedia all the time. So I know about all type of shit. Like, I know about all type of weird facts. So I'm pretty sure that there are societies in this world that don't even experience suffering. I'm pretty, if don't quote me, but I think it was a Native American tribe. They don't experience, it's not a part of their culture. They don't acknowledge suffering. Something bad happens, and they're taught to look at it as, okay, this thing needs to happen in order for this other thing to happen. That's the way that things work, cause and effect. If we look at it from a cause and effect perspective and stop attaching all of this weird feelings and weird stuff to it, like the good and the bad and the whatever, cause and effect, guys. Let's keep it very simple. Cause and effect. Something needs to happen for something else to happen. The sooner you get over what happened, the sooner you can get to what happens afterwards. Period. It's that simple. It's that simple. The sooner you get over what happens is the sooner you can get to what will happen after that. Now, if you don't get over what happened, then cause and effect, you're going to get more of what happened. Your suffering is going to be prolonged. It's all up to you how long you suffer. It's up to you. It's your choice. It literally is. Free choice. The Bible says God gave us free will, and people want to drag it and make it seem, oh, well, if we have free will, then why does this happen? Why are there consequences for our behavior? Because of cause and effect. You have free will. You can decide how long you want to suffer. Free will. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to suffer. There's still other rules to the universe. The only rule is not free will. Free will, and then there's also cause and effect. And there's also all the other ones. If you guys care to know, you can go and look that up. And so, with all of this in an understanding, right? I want to say that this morning, what also was on my mind, and I wanted to mention it in this video. Somebody commented on one of my videos some months ago now at this point, and what they said was basically my stories are confusing. They're over here, and they're over there, and they're over there, and they're over here, and then I feel like this, and then the next moment I feel like that. That's literally what the healing process or the process looks like. And so I shared with them, don't pay attention to what I'm saying because it is crazy. That's what it looks like. And it's going to look very different for me than it does for anybody else because this is my journey. It's very unique to me. It's my experience. It's very unique to me. The thing that you need to get from it is what I'm talking to you about right now, the lesson. Don't worry. Don't get all caught up in my story. Oh, well, does it make sense? It's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense. One, because you didn't go through it. It's not your experience. So it's not going to make sense why I did what I did and why they did what they did and why I told the story this way and whatever. None of that is going to make sense to you. What will make sense is you take all of that and you put it together to understand the lesson. The stories are there for context. They're there so that you can connect and say, okay, that's what she's talking about. That's it. It's not for you to judge me. It's not for you to get all caught up in the story and but you said this happened and that happened. Okay, and that's literally how it happened. It did not happen in a logical manner, which is why I'm relaying it to you in an illogical manner because that's the way that it happened. And anybody that's gone through things in life knows it does not make sense at all. There are literally times in your journey, points in your journey where you're laying there and you're like, what in the fuck is going on? None of this makes any type of sense. Why am I going through this? If you've never had that feeling, then you are a narcissist. You need to start feeling some things. That's all I'm saying. You need to start feeling some things, allowing yourself to suffer because you're missing out. You're missing out. You're missing out on all the good things. And that's a message directly to my ex. Yeah, we're going to start talking about my ex because that's how I process things. And you don't like it, don't watch my videos. Simple. This is for me. This is for me. This is for me. For me. Oh my gosh. Up here running off my mouth. I'm supposed to be in my other session. And of course, this is the way that these things work. Give me a sec, guys. Okay, so yeah, the session police were in there, seeing where I was at. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, we're gonna talk about my ex, and if you don't like it, bye. This is your exit. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next time. But yeah, so then, because this is how I'm getting to the point to understanding why I even was in this to begin with. Oh yeah, okay, so this is what I wanted to use this example. One of the many things that went on in our relationship was he proposed and bought a ring, and we went to the courthouse and we got a marriage license. And he tries to use that as, okay. So if you know anything about narcissists, and you guys know I don't like to call them that, but for the video's sake, for sake of context, I'm gonna say that. Because when I say that, we all know what that is, right? One of the things they like to do is they like to paint an image of themselves, and they project it to the world, like, this is who I am, when behind, like, this is the mask, they show the world that, but behind it, it's a totally different person. That the only person who will know who's really behind that mask is somebody who's lived with them or been with them for a long time. So I know what's behind that mask because I've lived with him. But I'm sure somebody like his baby mother, who he's been with for a longer time, knows a lot more about him than I do. She knows a lot more about the true him than I do. And that's the way that it works. They want to paint this mask. So in his attempt to paint a certain picture of himself as the upstanding man who just goes to work and comes home and does the right thing and just wants to take care of his woman and just wants to be loved. That character, right? That character that he's constructed, the good guy character, right? I'm a good, hardworking man, and all she did was take all my money and whatever else, right? All she did was take all my money and hurt me, and I just wanted to love her, and I just went to work, and she would just be home all day cheating on me and whatever. That's the story, right? So in order to uphold this facade, this fake person that he's created, he thought it would be a good idea to propose. And now that's one of the things he says, but I proposed to you. Okay, okay. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Now, I'm going to tell you what he wanted it to mean, and I'm going to tell you, and this is why the title of the video is going to be Just Wait and See. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what he wanted it to mean, and I'm going to tell you how women get caught up in that very thing, and why we end up with stories like the one that was just viral about Who Did I Marry? I think that was the title of it. And she did this whole 1 million part series about who she married. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you why that happens. Okay, so there's this idea that women have in their head that to be chosen or picked, and when a man actually proposes to you, it means something. Like, in our minds, we say, why would he propose if he doesn't want me? That's a big move. That's a big honor. I believe that at one point, that getting proposed to was an honor. Becoming a man's wife was an honor. Like, he chose me. It's an honor. That's serious, because there's so many men who run from getting married. There's so many men who run from commitment. So here he is, ready to go to I was going to say the post office, ready to go to the courthouse and all the things, right? So this must mean he's serious. This must mean he loves me and he's taking me serious, right? So that's how a woman is going to look at it. That's how we trap ourselves, by having that mentality. And men, because they're basic, they're just going to capitalize off of whatever's there. They're bottom feeders at their lowest point. All of them are not like that, duh, obviously. But for the most part, if we're talking about a narcissist, they're going to be bottom feeders. They're going to go for the lowest hanging fruit. They're going to try what they try. So they understand that about women, because they have all these women in their life that they claim that they love and that they have a great relationship with and that they're protecting. But what they're really doing with all those women in their life is they're studying them. They're asking them questions. They're finding out about what's important to them and how they think. And they're using that as a weapon in their dating life. So when you have, because that's literally, He has all these women in his family who he came to protect, but every time he gets upset, it's bitch that and bitch this, and he's admitted to all types of crimes against women. So you don't respect women, and you're not here to protect any of us. You're here to use us. You're here to manipulate us. You're here to get insight and use it to hurt the next woman. And so be careful. That's one message. Be careful about what you're saying to these men and what type of relationship you're having with them. What you're like, because they're taking what you're saying and using it against you and using it against other women who they can actually, like, let's say you don't have a sexual relationship with them because you're gay or because you're their family member. So really, all you guys can do is talk. He's going to use everything you say against the woman who he's actually able to have sex with and have a relationship with and use for a place to live and all those type of things. So these are all just things to be mindful of, right? And I wouldn't know any of this if I hadn't gone through it, right? So be grateful. Instead of bashing me and saying, well, you know, you chose a dusty and here's some ways that you can avoid meeting these and attracting these type of people. Instead of those types of videos, let's just be grateful for the sacrifice. God damn. Anyway, fuck. That was a word. I need to reflect. I need a moment after that one. Be grateful for the fucking sacrifice. Anyway, let's get back into it. So, because I know what I'm doing. I know what my purpose is. I do everything with intention. So if I chose a dusty, it was with intention, a dusty, right? If I chose this particular person, it was with intention. If I go back, it's with intention. If I answer a text or answer a phone call, it is with intention. And that's totally different from a lot of other situations. So anyway, respect the sacrifice. Because this wisdom that I'm talking to you guys about right now, it does not come easy. It doesn't come easy at all. So with that being said, let's get back into what I was saying. All right, somebody's logged in. Give me a minute. So yeah, where were we in the story? Yeah, I was basically letting you guys know, put some respect on my name. Because I was thinking about it when I was doing my lessons, and I was thinking, like, when I become rich, because that's going to happen, that's a part of my destiny, that's why I'm going through what I'm going through, so that, anyway, once I get to where I'm going, I said I wasn't going to do videos anymore, but that's petty. I actually am excited to do videos at that point, because then you guys will get to see the trajectory. You'll get to see how much I've grown. You'll get to see where all of this suffering led to. So that's why I'm sharing my story. That's why it's so important to me, because I want to be able to look back. I want everybody that's in my life to be able to look back, and everybody that's watching this to be able to look back and see what the process really looks like. Because if you're just watching everybody that's successful and they tell you, oh, well, this is what it took and that's what it took, it's not helpful. Because you weren't there when you wasn't with them shooting in the gym. So you don't really know what it took. And that's something that is coming up a lot with my ex, because he's overcome a lot. And because he's not where he needs to be, but he's actually overcome a lot. And sometimes I can lose sight of that and not understand, like, okay, this is a recovering addict. This is somebody who's overcome addiction. This is somebody who's overcome the not the greatest upbringing, the death of his parents, a lot of stuff he's dealing with. And for me, it's like, I have had some bad things happen to me in my life, but I've never had to deal with addiction, really. I've never had to deal with like major death like that, really. And so it's hard for me to relate. And maybe that's because we're not meant to really be in each other. Like, maybe that's on purpose. Maybe it's not on purpose. It is what it is. But sometimes it is very hard for me to relate to him because it's like, okay, that stuff happened. Let's go. Let's move on. Life is still going, and you're letting it pass you by because these terrible things happen. Terrible things have happened to me too in a different type of context. That when you hear about, because when I tell him about some of the things I've been through, he's like, he doesn't understand it either. So it's like this very weird thing. And I think that's kind of what bothers me a lot. Let's go back to the Bob Marley saying, I choose to suffer for him because I feel like he's worth my suffering. He's worth me going through the things I'm going through. I chose him to suffer for. And that empowers me. That makes me feel better about what we've gone through. So back to one of the things that the narcissist likes to do. And I'm not saying this like it's not a bad thing. Like it just is, like it is what it is, guys. This is one of the things they just so happen to like to do. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that we all just will happen to like to do. So this is one of the character traits. And it's basically, they like to construct this image that is most likely where it comes from is it's not an intention to manipulate. It's more, this is who I would like to be. This is who I know that I can be, but I'm struggling to get there. I'm working towards getting there. I need help getting there. I need more experience to get there. I need more practice to get there. And so, but I'm gonna fake it till I make it kind of thing, right? That's what they do. Whereas when you're highly sensitive and you're identifying as an empath, we don't really believe in the fake it till you make it thing. We believe in authenticity. So we believe like, okay, if I'm not there, I'm going to make it clear to you that I'm not there. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to sit in that. I'm going to be okay with that. And that also has its drawbacks because you can get stuck in that place where you're just like, kind of like where I am or where I have been in the past, kind of stuck in that, okay, this is just my life. I just suffer. It is what it is kind of thing. I don't have any really like juicy, amazing, positive moments, positive relationships with people. It's just suffering after suffering after suffering after suffering. So we can get easily put ourselves in because we're putting ourselves in either place. So back to the story. So that's what one of the things that they tell themselves. And because they want to believe it so badly, they want to fake it till they make it so badly. They want to convince everybody else so badly. They want to convince themselves so badly that they believe it. They truly believe the story that they're telling. They have to in order for it to be real. Okay? So that is what's going on with them. It's not an intentional thing whatsoever. Or maybe it is. Maybe that's just the way that they like to do things. That's the way they manifest. It is what it is. So because he wanted to uphold that story, which was not true. He wanted it to be true, but it wasn't true. Because before he met me, like one of the things is, oh, well, I got with her and she took all my money. He even told me like, oh, well, ever since we got together in October, I can look at my bank account and see how much money I've made and I have none of it. Okay, but before you met me, you also had no money in your savings. I had money in my savings though. So who is the real cause for you not having money? Is it me? Because if I have money in my savings, the way that works is I get with somebody and I influence them and they should end up having more money in their savings naturally by just being around me. But if you're not open to my influence, if you're not open to taking advice from a woman because you feel like you're a man and you should know everything, you should be the one to do the saving and take care of the finances, but we had that conversation and it's clear that I'm better at finances than you are, which is it is what it is, in a partnership, you're supposed to pick up where your partner lacks. And I don't know, like, there's something for men in their mind. Somebody tells them they're supposed to take care of everything. And so they feel like less if the woman isn't. But back in the day, the man brought home his check and literally gave it all to his wife, and she took care of the bills. She paid them with his money. And we had that conversation. I said, ideally, that's the way that I would want things to go, because I'm very, very, very good with finances. And clearly you aren't. Because when we met, you were spending money on clothes and whatever, shoes and cologne and whatever else, right? I don't spend my money on that type of stuff. I budget for that, for the things that I like, my Bath and Body Works trips and everything else that I like that's extra. But I make sure that my bills are taken care of. I make sure I got ample amount of savings. And then whatever's left over, that's what I use to do my trip, my shopping, my extracurriculars, right? So we had that conversation, but he just couldn't let go. He couldn't let go of the control. He couldn't let go of he just couldn't. And so, but now the story that he tells everybody and that he believes himself is that I took all his money. I'm the reason why he doesn't have anything to show for all the money he's made since we've been together. I'm not the reason. I'm not the reason, because if I was the reason, then I too would have no savings. I too would have nothing to show for what I've made. And even after everything that I've lost, I still have been able to rebuild my savings. I still have a roof over my head. I still have the bills paid. And another thing is, oh, well, I kicked him out after he paid all the bills. No, babe. You paid the rent. We moved in the place in October. The first time ever that you paid the rent was February. I put you out on February 20-something. Do the math. The math is not mathing according to the way that you told the story. Okay, you want your money back for the little week that you were not here? Okay, when I left, the lights were on and the rent was paid. Okay, because for 1 month you decided to uphold what our agreement was and you paid the rent for February. Because I had to literally make you. And then the lights were paid, okay, because I paid them. You gave me money one time, again, in the October, November, December, January, February, the 4 months you were living here. In the 4 months, you gave me light bill money one time. And that was when the light bill was cheap. It was like $70. The light bill has been $160. It's been $140. I paid $400 for the deposit moving in initially. So what money have I caused you to lose? But because you've caused me to lose money and you're feeling that guilt and that pressure and that shame, you want to project that onto me. That's not fair. But that's what these people do when they're not aware. When they're not aware. Because I truly believe it is not an intentional thing. They're not aware of the separation that they're causing themselves and other people. They're not aware because they're not willing to see it. And so when we look at it from that perspective now, back to the marriage thing, right? That's the story that I was telling. All right, so the marriage thing. Okay, I promised you guys that I would tell you how he wanted me to see it. Okay, and I talked about how women are bred, how we are raised, how we are socialized to see, when a man wants to marry you, it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate honor. A man wants to marry you? Wow. That says a lot about you. But it doesn't. It doesn't. It does if that man is of high honor himself, if he's an upstanding citizen, if he has all of the character traits that we want in a man, like he's responsible and he's good with his finances and he really truly protects women and he takes care and he's respectful and just chivalrous, just like a man's man. Now that man wanting to marry you, that's an honor. But a man who disrespects women and who has done all these things and is still doing them and makes excuses for them and doesn't take accountability and all these other type of stuff, him asking you to marry him doesn't mean anything. And that's the point. That's the point. That's the determining factor. Now, that's where confusion can come in, because how do we use discernment? How do we make the decision? Because there's a reason why people were saying that it's an honor. It's an honor when the man is honorable. And then if he's chosen you, that means that he sees you as honorable. He sees you as worthy of being in his presence. If he is a bottom feeder, a dusty, a narcissist, whatever else, it's not an honor for him to ask you to marry him. So when he asked me this, I already understood all of that. And I went along with it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I went along with it because I wanted to see how it was going to play out so I could make this video and tell you guys about it. I wouldn't have been able, but at the time, I did not know that that's what I was doing. So it was not manipulation. I was not intentional. Oh, I'm going to just go along with this so that I can make a video about it later. No, I listened to my intuition, my inner guidance. My inner guidance said, don't fight the proposal. Go along with it. I'm trying to show you something. That's why the title of this video is Wait and See. Wait and see. That was a message. And I listened. I didn't question it. I didn't say, oh, but he does this and he did that. He's not, I can't marry him, whatever. Those feelings, they come up. But I didn't listen to them. I said, I'm going to do this anyway because I'm obedient. I'm going to trust. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so he proposed and I followed my intuition. I just, went along with it. So, he bought the rings and I wore the ring and we went to the courthouse. We signed the papers. We got the marriage license. He, arranged for us to go to marital counseling. And he was, let's tell your mom, and told all his family. We did the wedding registry and all the things, right? And the whole time, though, it's like I kept getting this feeling like he's just doing this to see what more he can get out of you. Like, basically, he knows that women attach a certain thing to it. So this is how women change. When a man wants to marry you, now it's like, I'm going to do extra now. I'm going to show and prove that, he made the right decision. I'm going to show and prove that he made the right choice. Oh, he wants to marry me now? Oh, I wasn't doing all of this before? Let me make sure that I cook and clean and I show him that, I'm ready to be a wife. That's how he expected me to react, and that's how so many women react. That's how we fall into that trap of these men putting a ring on our finger. Oh, well, now I have the ring. Let me start cooking and cleaning more. Let me start, whatever. And another big thing was I think that the marriage proposal was really a trick to get what he really wanted, which was access to my money. And so this is why I say that, because he also put me on his bank account. He added my name to his bank account. Now, when you think about that, and when he tells the story to other people from his perspective, oh, he put your name on it. He must trust you. He must really been trying. He must really had pure intentions. He actually put your name on his bank account? Yeah, he did. Because, again, he wanted access to my money. Because with that came, oh, well now, you can change your account and have all your money being deposited into here. That's the conversation that we had. Now it's all this pressure to put all of our money together all of a sudden. Oh, and I'm going to show you that I'm in it with you because I put your name on my bank account. Still doesn't mean anything, ladies. It still doesn't mean anything. Did it feel good? Yes, to go in there, and it felt like he trusted me in some kind of way, but I understood that was me projecting my feelings onto the situation. The real intention behind it, though, was to have access to my money, have control. That was his intention. But I projected oh, that's so romantic, and he must be really serious about us building a future together. No, he was really serious about getting his hands on my money. Simple. So, while I did go along with it, I got the very clear message: do not put any of your money into that account. So he put the money in there, and what we agreed to was that whatever money went in there was the money to pay the bills. And that's what I did with that money. I used it, and I made sure as soon as it went in there, I paid the rent with it. I paid the whatever with it. And that's what happened for February. So that's how the rent got paid. It wasn't even him that paid it. I had to force him, like I said, make him do it. And so, how do I know? Okay, so how do I know that because somebody listening to this might say, maybe he did have really pure intentions and you're just looking at it from a jaded perspective. You're just looking at it from the hurt that you've gone through in your past because you are afraid to trust. So how do you know for sure it's one thing and it's not the other? Look at the actions after the proposal. Look at the actions after the ring. Are they in tune with what you want your marriage to look like? The way he behaves after he proposes, is it in tune with what you want from a husband, what you want your life to look at? Look at your life, think about everything that's going on, and ask yourself, is this what I want my marriage to look like? Don't put your mind in the future, because that's also how we get fucked up, right? That's also how we fuck ourselves. Don't put your in the present moment with what he's doing, saying, acting, all of that, how he's acting, what he's doing, what he's saying, how you're feeling. Is this how I want to live for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, that's your answer. That's how you know that it's not for you. That's how you know that it's not a pure intention thing. That's how you know that you're not meant to be that person's husband, that person's wife. That's how you know that that proposal wasn't meant to be. It was a manipulation tactic. That's how you know. Based on how you feel. Your gut, your intuition, your discernment will always tell you. It will always tell you. Because we're at the courthouse and I'm all happy, smiley, lovey, whatever. And his energy was not that. He was feeling insecure. He was like, why is everybody staring at us? Why is everybody looking at us? Why is everybody congratulating us? Because they can see the happiness. They know that we're here to get a marriage license. It's a happy occasion. You're not happy, clearly. You're just pretending. Another way that I knew that he was pretending was when we got the marriage license, he was trying to rush and push it forward. And, let's just get married at the courthouse. Let's just go to St. Augustine and go do it in the courthouse. Because the courthouse we went to, they didn't do it the same day. So they didn't do ceremonies there. So he was like, let's go over here and do it over there. And it was just all like very rushed. And I was like, what is the rush? what's the reason that this needs to happen right now? And then so I started really thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? If we're gonna do this, I don't want it to really be at the courthouse. Like, let's do it on the beach somewhere. Let's make it at least a little bit nice so we can invite our family, like our close people or whatever. And I started looking at like dresses online, and when I started looking at dresses, that was another flag, because it was like he just had like this attitude, this energy about him, like he wasn't into it. Like, why are you looking at dresses? Because you just fucking married, you just fucking put a ring on my finger. Like, we just went to the courthouse and signed documents. I'm looking at a dress. Like, what are you talking about right now? And when I wanted to have the conversation about wedding planning and buying a dress and buying something for him to wear, he wasn't interested in it. So then that made me start thinking, okay, so what are you interested in then? Because it's clearly not marrying me. It's clearly not that process. So what is your real motive here? And slowly but surely, as I waited for things to unfold, the truth started coming out more and more. And so remember, the marriage was a cover-up for what he really wanted, was access to my money. So when he saw that I was not gonna start I wasn't gonna deposit all my money into the account, and and that I was using the money to pay the bills, and he saw that I was actually, because he was counting on me being that woman that says, oh no, I got it. It's okay. You don't have to pay any bills. I can do it. I can pay all the bills. I have the money to pay it. I know you got to take care of your kids, and I know you got to do whatever. So it's okay. I got it. No, I didn't do that. Our agreement was that you were going to put money in the account to pay the rent. I said that was important to me. I said that that's what I needed. I had paid it from November. I did all the stuff to get the house. The agreement was you were going to contribute. This whole time you have not contributed it. So the money that goes into the account, I'm going to use it for the bills. So I used it for the bills. And when that started hitting him, oh, she's really about... That's when I got a chance to see what I was really dealing with. So he started seeing that money come out of the account. He started seeing that I had no intention of putting my money in there. It was just his money that was going to go in there, because that was our agreement. I never agreed to put any money in that account. I said maybe if I have a little bit of savings at the end of the month, I might put something in there that could be a joint savings account. We can make an agreement on that later on, but I need to see what I'm dealing with before I make any commitments to anything when it comes to money. Because I already see how you move. You need to prove me wrong or prove me right. At the end of the day, that's what it is at this point. So while I'm seeing what he's going to show me, he starts getting antsy. He starts seeing, oh, well, maybe my plan's not going to work. Maybe I got to come at this from a different angle, right? So he starts an argument, and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to return the ring, and I'm not going to, I don't want to get married anymore. We're just going to, because when you get the marriage license, it expires after 60 days? Is it 60 days? Yeah, it expired in March. So, and we did it in December or January, one of those. I think January. So it expired this month. And, so yeah, if you don't actually do the ceremony, the marriage license expires. And so he was like, we're just going to let the license expire. And he took the ring and returned it back to where he bought it from. And he took my name off of the account. Now, he did that for two reasons. He did that, one, because he was mad that I didn't fall into the trap that he had sent initially. And then the other reason is I was supposed to beg, and I was supposed to be upset, and I was supposed to be like, no, why are you taking me off of the account? And why don't you want to marry me anymore? And, oh my God. That's how it was supposed to be. And I wasn't. I was like, okay, well, I didn't want to be on your funky ass account anyway. Like, I have my own money, see? I didn't need to be on your account. And now that you've shown me who you are, the only reason I put myself on that account was so that I could pay my bills. Was so that I could hold you accountable, basically. It wasn't even to pay my bills, to hold you accountable for what you said you were going to do. Simple. Simply hold you accountable for what you volunteered to do. Not what I asked you to do, not what I manipulated you into doing, not what I forced you to do. What you came to me on your own 2 feet and said you were going to do. Because you believe this story in your mind that you are a good man. And what do good men do? They pay the bills and they live up to their responsibilities. They do what they say they're going to do. So, you trying to make sure that that image was in place, you put the money in there and said all the things you needed to say. Not realizing that I was going to hold you to that. Because that's where we fuck up as women. Men will say, and we have taught them as a result, that they can just say they're going to do something and that is enough. They don't actually have to do it. They can just say, oh, I would love to marry you one day. I would love to have babies by you one day. I would love to whatever. And that shit is a fucking lie. They have no intention of taking care of the babies, no intention of taking care of you, no intention of any of that stuff. But because they know what it does to you when you hear that stuff, they know how far you will drag it and take it. They know how far words can go. They don't even have to do nothing else. I can just say it. If I could just say it and not have to put any extra effort into it, why would I? You would as a woman, because you understand the benefits of putting the work in. You understand what it means to truly work for something and get it. That hits totally different than to skate by in life and just live and just skate on the bare fucking minimum. Working for that shit and getting it and knowing that it's yours is way different. A lot of these men have no clue what that feels like. They have no clue because everything that they have is what they stole from a woman. Everything they have, right down to the thoughts and the words that come out of their mouth, right down to their perspective, stolen from a woman. That business that they claim they have, ideas stolen from a woman. The materials for the business, stolen from a woman. She left him, realized he wasn't going to change, and he took all of that, came to you with it, and there it is. That furniture that he claimed he bought for me, but took. And then I found out through our conversation that this is the kicker, guys. He had no money. He had no money when I put him out, according to him. Had no money when I put him out. And so he had to get a loan on one of his cars to get the money to move, to get a U-Haul and a storage unit to move. When, for me, if I were him, this is how I would deal with it. Now, I understand he's going to deal with it how he wants to deal with it because he's who he is and I'm who I am. Now, me, personally, at the end of a relationship that I built with somebody and they decide they don't want me anymore, they want to put me out, I'm going to go with the clothes on my fucking back, especially if I don't have any money. I'm not going to, go and take a loan out on my vehicle just so that I can get a U-Haul and pack up all of the furniture that I bought, which I really didn't buy because everything that he claims he bought, I reimbursed him for. Yes, it went on his credit card, but I gave him back that money. I was helping him pay down his credit cards. But yeah, he doesn't say any of that stuff. But that's what actually happened. So these are the money decisions that he's making, and he wants me to let him control my money. Get the fuck out of here. So he takes the loan out on his vehicle. to get a U-Haul to pack up all of the shit in my house that he bought from me, that we bought together, and claims that he cares about me, but did all of that just so he could pack it all up and put it in a fucking storage unit because he has nowhere to go. What type of sense does that make? If I were in that situation, I, like I said, would pack up everything that would fit in my freaking car, pack the rest of it in the garage, ask if I can leave the rest of the, I can't leave the rest of the stuff? All right, then throw the shit out. I'm going to leave with what I got in my car and deuces. That's it. End of story. I don't need any of the furniture that I bought. I don't need any of the bed that I bought. I don't care who you're fucking on it because that's what he said. I'm going to take my bed because I don't want you fucking somebody else on it. Please, like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. If we want to be honest, you know how many beds that niggas have bought for me that I fucked other people on? And do you think they care? They don't care. They don't care. I had a friend who gave me his bed because he was moving. Do you think for 1 second that the thought went through his mind that I would be fucking somebody else on that bed? Maybe it did. But he had enough decency to not say it to me. Like, come on. Be for real. Like, be for real. That is the reality of what could possibly happen. But you say that I'm not open to change. And I need to practice more acceptance. The ultimate act of acceptance in that situation would have been, okay, you want me to leave. I don't have any money right now. I'm just going to take what can fit in my car and I'm going to go. That would have been acceptance. But you took a whole loan out on your vehicle that you claim you care about so much. That money could have went to God knows what else, but you took it out so you can get a U-Haul to pay for a storage unit, for furniture. Now, I say all that to say, the next woman, when he gathers up some more juice and he's ready to get back out there, the next woman, he's going to move all my furniture into her house. All the furniture that he bought with me, for me, supposedly, he's going to move all that into her house. And the cycle continues. Then whatever he gets from that relationship, she might be crazy enough. She might be willing, I'm not going to say crazy enough, she might be willing to invest in his so-called businesses. But that didn't work with me, so he might let go of that tactic. That he might realize that doesn't work anymore. He might have something new. He might have something new to work off of now. Let me see what could be his next story. His next story, especially with the way that our relationship went, the next woman, this is what he's going to tell them. You know, my ex, she took all my money and I wanted to marry her. I did everything for her. And she just took all my money. You know, I looked at my bank account and everything that was in there, I don't have nothing to show for it. I have no money. I spent it all on foolishness because, you know, I had to move and I had to do this and I had to do that and I paid her rent and she put me out and then I had to find a place to live and then I had to buy hotels and then I had to, you know, whatever. That's going to be his story for the next woman. And I hope that next woman is smart enough to be able to listen to all of that and understand that it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Even if that is what happened, the simple fact that he's coming into a relationship with you, talking about what happened to him, shows that he's not healed, he hasn't learned anything from it, and he's going to bring all of that into your relationship, your current relationship. He wanted to make it seem like, oh, well, this is his first time being jealous. It's just something about me that makes him jealous. No, you're jealous with your baby mama. You have people watching her. Let's be real. You have people spying on her for you and calling you and telling you about every little move that she makes. And you have people spying on me. For all I know, people in the neighborhood are probably spying because he went and told them whatever he told them. This is the reality, guys. I know I sound crazy. I know it's like, why would somebody do that? What would be the point? What would be the purpose? What would be the point? What would be the purpose? For somebody who minds their own freaking business. For somebody who don't have no business, so they're worried about everybody else's. That's exactly what they would do. That is a real thing. He spies on his ex. He spies on me. But, the jealousy just came out of nowhere when it came to you. No, it didn't. You're just a jealous person. You're just a jealous person. You're just an afraid, scared little man. That's what you've always been your entire life. When are you going to recognize that and suffer enough to change it? When are you going to feel it enough to change it? I had to accept that I'm just a scared little girl. That same little girl hiding in the closet. That was me for a lot of years. Even as an adult. Even as somebody with their own car, paying their own bills, still a scared little girl hiding in the closet. Till I had to feel that. And I'm still feeling it and still going through it. And you want me to, that's why I can't respect your story. Because you don't feel it yourself. So how do you want me to feel it? That's it. Thank you. That's it. How can I feel it if you yourself don't feel it? How can I respect it if you yourself don't respect it? It's the energy. There's some people that can tell me their story about fucked up shit that happened to them and it'll make me cry. Why? Because they feel their story. I don't know if I told the story about the girl who had just been released from prison and I met her at the bus stop. And I don't think I did tell you guys that story. I met her at the bus stop and she was telling me that the next day she was going to go see her daughter. She had her daughter while she was in prison and the daughter lives with a family member. And now that she's released, she can finally see her for like the first time in since she was born. And she was a little bit nervous and we were talking and I just got so emotional. I've never gone to jail. I don't even know why she went to jail. But because I could feel her, I knew that she was living in her experience. She was feeling it. I could feel it. And I literally was sitting at the bus stop, crying, bawling my eyes out with this stranger that I just met over her story. And do you guys know she named her daughter what I was gonna name when I remember I was laying down one time and I was thinking, this thought just popped up in my head out of nowhere years ago. And I was like, if I ever had a daughter, I would name her Nova Sky. And when I met this woman at the bus stop, she was telling me about her daughter and something was like, ask what the daughter's name is. Cause usually I don't care. I don't give a fuck about what your daughter's name is. I'm being honest, I don't care. But something was like, what is your daughter's name? And I asked her. Her daughter's name was Nova Sky. Honest to God, that's what made me cry. That's what made me cry more than I was already crying. Her daughter's name was Nova Sky. And to drive it even more home, I was pregnant in my past relationship. And I decided to have an abortion. And that's probably what I would have named that child. So everything comes full circle, guys. I will make a video for why I decided to have an abortion. And yeah. My student just logged in. I think we're at the end of the story. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. If you're here at the end, you're a real one. Until next time, guys, be well.